I mean, why though? Like, what's the point? When I'm in, I'm all in, 100%. I can't really understand why Dempsey doesn't want me to move in with her.
I think it's time to have a conversation that a lot of clients ask me about: when do we know that we're ready to move in together? Is there a time when it's too soon to move in together? And when should we be ready? What should we be looking at? What should we be thinking about? And so the video that we're watching on 90 Day Fiance is a tricky situation, right? There's one person that says, hey, I'm ready to move in. Let's move to the next level, even though it's been a short amount of time. When I'm in, I'm in. And the other partner says, hey, I think there's a lot more that I need to learn about you, that we need to learn about each other, and that I need to have the time to build some more trust in the relationship that we're creating together. So remembering that a relationship is a physical, financial, and spiritual, emotional connection, that you want to make sure that you're solid in all three parts of it. So as we're looking at the financial, do you understand each other's debt? Do you know what this person is bringing into the relationship, how much they can afford to pay, how much they consider using credit as an option? If you guys are not having conversations about how much debt are you bringing into the relationship, how much does each of us make financially, how do we feel about commingling our funds? Am I willing to take on your debt? Do we need to keep our finances separate? How do we have conversations about what things should cost, and how we split costs, and how we plan for the future, or what kind of savings that we should have? If you don't have an understanding of the philosophy of why the person that you're in a relationship with approaches their money and their finances and their debt the way that they do, you're missing out on an understanding of how this person is going to behave in the future when it comes up to shared purchases or finances, or if you guys decide to purchase something together in the future. You also need to build a sense of who this person is, not so much so that you can decide if they're a dependable person, but if they're a person that's a right fit for you. How much personal space do they need? How do they handle it when they come home from work? Do they need a half an hour of downtime before they're able to engage with you? Do they need a lot of personal space? How do they manage clutter? How do they manage chores? How do they go about prioritizing things that take a drain on them? What do they need in their personal space? Because that's going to play into who they are as a person, how they can be available for you, what kind of space and coping skills do you need when you get into conflict? How are they going to manage it when they feel overwhelmed and they want to shut down, or they need some personal space? How are you going to ask for those needs from each other? It's not just so much that I understand and trust this person, that I need to know who they are, how they operate when they're under stress, because you're going to be under stress. Putting the strain of moving into each other's place or finding a new place together is going to create a new space and a new stress that you hadn't anticipated. Have some conversations about what commitment looks like to each other. What does commitment mean? Moving in together, is it a next step towards getting married or having a long-term relationship? How does each person view this commitment of moving in together? If you sign a lease with each other, do you have an agreement that even if it doesn't work out, you're still going to honor your portion of the finances that you're both committed to? What does a commitment mean emotionally? Am I committed to you to working through things when they get hard? Am I committed to going to couples therapy with you if it doesn't feel good? Am I committed to pushing through inconvenient feelings, or when something doesn't feel good? Am I willing to stay in the hard times and tolerate the distress of not feeling like things are going well? What kind of tools am I committed to bringing to the relationship? What part of myself am I willing to share with you and be vulnerable even when it doesn't feel good or I don't want to? Also, one of the things to consider is, have you been through enough difficult situations with each other and saw an outcome that feels promising, that feels hopeful, that feels like it gives you confidence that we can work through tough things? These are the things that we should be thinking about before we're ready to move in with each other. What are the things that you have experienced in your own relationships that you wish that you would have thought about or that you should have taken into consideration before you moved in with a partner? Let's keep this an ongoing conversation. I'm wishing you the very best. I know you're doing your best in your relationships, and keep it up. You're doing good work.